Hey, Star Wars fans and Rule the Galaxy fans. It is Joe in the pilot seat tonight. I know we've been bouncing around from different hosts the last few episodes. It's a good thing. Gives me a break, but then also gives some of our other talented co-hosts a chance to run the show. But we have a great show for you tonight. And this is actually chapter 156. We just released chapter 155, which was Brent Dykman leading a episode with Garrison Talk, his new Star Wars Legion podcast that's going to be going on. So we look forward to hearing that. But episode 156 of Rule of the Galaxy. As always, you can follow us at Rule of the Galaxy SW on Twitter and Instagram, Rule of the Galaxy podcast on TikTok, just Rule of the Galaxy on Facebook and YouTube. Go to Etsy.com if you want a cool shirt like this or any other gear that we've got. Etsy.com, type in Rule of the Galaxy, all one word, no spaces. And last but not least, email us, ruleofthegalaxysw@gmail.com. I should learn to write all that down so I don't have to remember it every time. But here we go. Chapter 156. We've got one of our regular co-hosts with us, and then we've got a special guest host tonight. So I'll start with one of our regular co-hosts, Alfie. How are you, sir?
Doing good, Joe. Another great Star Wars week. I'm excited to talk about this Andor trailer tonight. I hope we get into it a little bit.
As am I. As am I. I think everybody had some good vibes off that Andor trailer. So there was a lot of stuff hidden in 2.5 minutes, and even our good friend Brent Dykman, who has been praising Andor for months, if not years, he was even a little excited about this one. So, Alfie, real quick before we hop to our special guest, did you get something from one of our followers on Twitter? That was a gift or something you were interacting with them and received a gift?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
If you give me just a second, I could go grab it. I didn't even think to bring it with
me. Well, I'll tell you what, go ahead and explain it and then you can grab it here in a second. You got
Okay. Do you want me to go get it now?
No, go ahead. Tell us all about it, and then while I go talk to Ryan, you can go grab it.
Yeah. I think the Hyper Chronicles podcast, he put out a picture the other day of some random Star Wars stuff. He had all vintage pieces, nothing really complete. And there happened to be 3 of the Boba Fett starship, I guess is what we're calling it now. So I said, hey, would you be interested in selling one? And he said, sure. And before it was all said and done, he actually just sent it to me.
That's great. That's great. I know Boba Fett's your guy. I know you have his tattoo. You have his logo on your hat. I mean, that's your guy. So glad you could get that. And thank you to our friends there at, where was it again?
Give me just 1 second. Holochronicles podcast.
Holochronicles podcast. Thank you for that. And then Alfie, of course, has a coworker who knows him as a Star Wars guy and brings him Star Wars stuff to work.
Yes, so nice, sweet old lady at work.
He's a lucky guy. I tell you, that Alfie, he is just, everybody just loves Alfie. So
that's what happens when you're just so nice and outgoing and have pleasant, friendly personality like myself.
You are correct on that. If I had to peg one thing about you, that's what I would say right there. Let's hop off from all this praising of Alfie to our special guest, who I had the pleasure of meeting at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway a few months ago. And that was a good time. And he got to hop on with my son on one of his podcasts there, Mr. Ryan McGee. Ryan, thanks for coming back and being on the show for the second time. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, that was I saw you, I believe, the day after Obi-Wan had dropped the premiere, and we couldn't talk about it because neither one of you had seen it yet. And I was like, I had gotten up in that morning and watched it. I actually so I don't, yes, I work for ESPN and my check comes from Disney. People think that maybe I get some inside scoop on stuff. I did receive a link for the premiere episode about an hour before it dropped. So awesome. I saw it. So 2:00 in the morning, I saw it. But when I saw you guys, I couldn't say anything. So now we can, and of course the whole series is out there now. Now we can openly talk about it, which is liberating.
No, it is. It is. And I know you've been super busy. I know you cover a lot of different things, auto racing, football, the Big Ten and all their craziness, the SEC. It's just keeping you running right now, right?
Yeah, the summer's been crazy because we were going to try to do this, I think the week that for college football fans, the week that we found out that USC and UCLA suddenly aren't located on the West Coast apparently anymore. Apparently they're in the Midwest. We found that out, I think the day, either the day of or the day before we were supposed to do this podcast. So I appreciate you rolling with it. Yeah, it's been a crazy busy summer. I literally just got off an airplane from it's funny, I call it the Death. I've always referred to ESPN headquarters in Bristol, Connecticut as the Death Star. And I mean that in a loving manner. And yesterday, I put it on Instagram. Yesterday, we were in the amazing cafeteria on campus at ESPN, and there were 8 stormtroopers like marching around the cafeteria. It turns out they were shooting. I'm not allowed to say what it was. They were shooting some commercial stuff.
Yeah.
And there were some 501st Legionnaires stomping around campus. So yeah, I said I always refer to it as the Death Star. I always tweet as I pull up to the ESPN headquarters in Bristol. I always take a picture of the main thing and I say, that's no moon. I've been doing that when I worked there. I would pull up to work every day and go, that's no moon. And so yeah, I always joke that's no moon. And I go, y'all thought I was joking, but there's stormtroopers at lunch. So yeah, it was an interesting day at the ESPN Death Star just 24 hours ago.
That's awesome. One thing I'll say about ESPN, no matter their ups or downs or what have you, they have always been great at commercials. Their commercials have been top notch. It's sometimes better than watching Sports Center or the sports on there. Their anchors do a great job, and the guests who come on and do a great job. And to have this tie-in and be related to the mouse, it doesn't hurt right now with Star Wars. So
no. It's funny. So I've been with ESPN basically my entire adult life. I left for a couple of years and then came back. But when I first started working there right out of college, 25 years ago, that's when they first started shooting the This Is Sports Center commercials. And it was the folks behind all the Nike ads, Just Do It and all that. And everybody would joke, is it really like that, working in like the Sports Center newsroom? And I'd be like, no, it's just TV commercials. Now it's like that all the time. Like you have no idea who you're going to see. Back in the day, you couldn't get people to come to Bristol. Now, because they shoot so many TV commercials and because so many athletes and movie stars or whatever come to campus, yeah, it actually now is a lot like they joked about it with the commercials, back in the 90s. So yeah, I did not expect and you, like our conversation we had before, I don't get to fully just like unvarnished talk about Star Wars. You guys know the feeling when you're sitting in a room full of people. I'm a Star Wars fan. You start talking about it, you realize we're a lot of times operate at a different level. When I started explaining to the people at my table, those guys have got to be with a local, division of the 501st. They had no idea what I was talking about. And so I'm explaining to them what's going on. And I went over and introduced myself. And sure enough, it's like a school teacher and, all these guys, and they were there, right. They wrangled up some stormtroopers as they'll do, for commercial shoots or charity events or, at least one episode of The Mandalorian.
There we go. You know what? I'm kind of feeling good because when that shot comes out, that commercial comes out, whatever, we're going to be able to say, hey, Ryan told us that happened. We know when that happened right there.
Yeah. And those aren't extras. When you see all the people sitting and eating lunch in the background at the cafeteria, those aren't extras. They're the real ESPN employees. They're just sitting. There was one woman. I kept taking pictures of the stormtroopers. There was one woman in the foreground on her laptop working on something. And literally they're right here next to her. And she didn't even, it's just, just another day at work. So yeah, it was a good day at the office.
You know what? She's probably into kittens or knitting. Yeah. And stormtroopers don't mean a thing to her.
She loves Harry Potter. She's like, who are these guys? Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Well, great to have you. We got a handful of topics. Obviously, the Andor trailer. We're going to talk to you about Kenobi because, like you said, we didn't get a chance to talk to you right when it came out. But I wanted to give a couple quick shout outs, people that have interacted with us and things like that. One, my neighbor. Believe it or not, my neighbor Cameron is his name. Cameron lives next door, and we talk all the time. The other day, he walked by and he said, "Hey, I need to order another one of those sweatshirts." And I'm thinking, what sweatshirts? And he goes, "Man, your Rule of the Galaxy sweatshirts, the hoodie." He goes, "I wear it all the time. It's the most comfortable sweatshirt I have." So Cameron, thanks for doing that. And you know what? If Cameron says they're good, everybody, you can get them and they're good. So Cameron, thank you for doing that. Thanks for listening. I went to one of Alfie's old stomping grounds called the Melody Inn in Indianapolis. It's a punk rock bar, and they have punk rock night every Saturday night, and they've been doing it for years. And one of Joey's friends, Colton Herta, is in a punk rock band. He's an IndyCar driver, and he's the drummer. And so he invited Joey and said, I've got a pass. He said, you want to come with me? I said, sure. I'm like, I'm going to be this old guy hanging out. Sure enough, I wasn't the oldest guy there. Thank goodness. But it was really awesome. Tight fit little place. Colton's playing the drums, just, nailing it. But while I was sitting there, there's stickers and posters all over this place. And I found these stickers of the Yavin 4. And I was like, the Yavin 4? And I started looking at it. And then I looked and there was another one, the Yavin 4. So I took out some Rule of the Galaxy stickers. I put them right next to them thinking, all right, there's some synchronicity there, right? And then I looked them up online. They're an indie-based band that plays Star Wars music. And when I'm talking about Star Wars music, they play rock and roll, but they put Star Wars types of lyrics in there. It's the Yavin and then the number 4. They are all over Apple Music. I've already downloaded both their albums. And I told them, I've sent them a message. I want our new theme song to come from the Yavin 4. So if you're in Indy, if you like rock and roll, if you like Star Wars, check out the Yavin 4. So that was really cool. And last but not least, I know it's long and I apologize to you two, but on our 150th episode, Brent Dykeman mentioned that he saw a review one time that said, I came for Joey and I stayed for Joe. And believe it or not, the guy who said that, wrote that way back when, 2 years ago, he heard the 150th episode. His name is Jason Allen. He's from Des Moines, Iowa. And he wrote us a really nice email. Just so thankful. And I appreciate him taking the time. He just had nothing but nice things to say about Joey, about Alfie, about DDoc, about our crew, and love the different things and guests we bring on. So Jason out in Des Moines, thank you for listening to us all this time. And thanks for giving it a try when Joey started it. And thanks for sticking with it while I've been running the ship while Joey's been doing other things. So that's my shout outs. That's what I had to do. I felt like I needed to because it was important, but that was just a really cool thing to get this nice email from him. So Jason in Des Moines, thank you. And if you see any other Star Wars fans in Des Moines, let them know about us. We'd love to have more fans out in Iowa. So that's all the shout outs. It's all the stuff I had to do. Ryan, you're wearing a nice Millennium Falcon hat from Galaxy's Edge. Have you gone to Galaxy's Edge recently?
We were there in the spring. So
okay.
My daughter is a rising high school senior, and she is her chorus had a trip to Disney.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're smart enough not to chaperone. So what we did was we went down, and when they were done with their chorus trip, we met up with my daughter. But yeah, so we went, we did the whole thing. I woke up in the morning and got the Genie Plus deal to do. And for folks that haven't done Rise of the Resistance, it's hard to explain. But I have a deeper, it's the best ride I've ever been on, but I have a deeper emotional
really
attachment.
Is.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And it goes on and on and on and on. My daughter and I have this rule where we will not look at anything about a new ride until we see it, until we experience it. I'm so glad we did it with that. But I have a deeper emotional connection with Smuggler's Run, just because it's the Falcon and it's sitting there. I think I told you back in February, we did Marty McGee from the Daytona 500 on Saturday, and I had the rest of the day. So I drove down to Hollywood Studios, and I literally by myself, didn't have a family with me. I just sat there on a rock and stared at the Millennium Falcon for probably 2 hours. So I got that hat then, and it's but yeah, Rise of Resistance is I don't care if you know anything about Star Wars at all. I don't care how you feel about the sequels. That thing is off the chart. It's hard to explain it until you actually experience it.
Well, it is on my checklist. When I went to Galaxy's Edge, it was pretty high COVID time, and they were being very restrictive on how many people could go and when you could go. And I got through Smuggler's Run. My wife was, God love her, she went through the whole park with me, did the whole thing. But that was the main thing that I did not get to do. So as much as I was like, say, oh, I don't have to do it again, I have to do it again because I have to get down there and do Rise of Resistance. So,
but just the whole experience. Just literally, again, the day I went by myself, I've been with my family twice, and then I went again this past spring. But I went by myself in February, and I just would stand there and just stare. I stared at each ship I just parked around Galaxy Edge. I just stood there and stared at it because I just can't. It's just hard for me. It's hard for my 7-year-old brain to imagine a future where I could just stand there and there's an A-wing just sitting there and I can just look at it, and it's just the craziest thing, and it's life sizes. I mean, it looks like it's ready to take off. It's just the coolest. It's the coolest thing to me.
I think we're three guys here who grew up at that time. That you're right. It's hard to fathom that when we were little kids, we were thinking, wouldn't it be great if we could see something like that in real life? And now we can't. I mean, it's right there to go see. So yeah. And Alfie, I know you've been down there. How many times have you been to Galaxy's Edge?
Twice.
Okay.
Yeah. We went twice the week that we were there.
Okay.
Once the whole family, and then the second time was just Enzo and I, which it was kind of weird because we went the second day of the week that we were there, and it was crazy busy, shoulder to shoulder, 100 degrees. You could see the steam rising off of people. And then the second time we ended up having to buy sweatshirts. It was the same week, And,
welcome to Florida. Yeah.
Yeah. And the park was empty. It was literally empty. So we just got to walk around and, like you did, just look at stuff.
Yeah.
Awesome.
The best.
And you
honestly,
go in the bathroom and you're like, holy crap. Yeah. How long did somebody plan out this bathroom for it to look this way?
It's all of it. No, it's just, and the detail is just, but that's the thing is when you're there with your family, it's great. And I'm so glad my family was with. I was not going to go without them. And so going and them, my wife has secret video. I didn't know she was shooting of me just walking straight through everything to get to the Falcon. And then the look on my face when I finally saw it. But then going back later just by myself there, and again, it was the same thing. It was the weather was kind of crappy and I was there by myself, and it was like, I just kind of got to look at everything. And it was, and just the details but yeah, the Imagineers, truly must have loved it because the stuff they came up with, you're exactly right. I mean, everything, it just every wall, every rock, everything was just, it's awesome, man. It's hard. You can't overstate it.
Well, I think one of the things that I looked at was one of my things where I was like, kind of thumbs down, was they were going to limit it to that time frame of just the sequels only. And from what I'm hearing, they're opening that up to where
they're getting over that. Yeah.
Where they're like, we kind of need Darth Vader walking around. We need Boba Fett walking around.
I think what happened too was that the original COVID honestly kind of did us a favor for those of us that wanted to see it expand like that, because the original plan, the launch happened of Galaxy's Edge, and then COVID happened. Yeah. And so the original plan was to make it super immersive, like it is, in the Star Cruiser, the hotel. You make it super immersive. There's a storyline and all that. And then I think, they've realized as they're rolling out shows that plus what I love too now, there's no line or much of a line for Star Tours. Which,
I love Star Tours.
I love when you go in now, they say at Star Tours, as you walk in, they'll say, welcome to the original immersive Star Wars ride. That's what they say when you go in. I rode that thing my daughter and I rode 5 times in a row, and just we went through it. And the people in line for Rise of Resistance, we could see them off in the trees.
That is a great ride. I mean, I don't care. 20 years from now, I'll still be saying I love the Star Tours.
Yeah.
It's just a fun, quick ride. It's immersive right there. But DDoc just sent me a message. He is going to hop on with us, guys. I think he finished up with the kitchen. So we've hit Galaxy's Edge pretty good. I know we're going to talk Kenobi, but I wanted to touch base on, I have been watching the Icons Unearthed on the Vice Network. Have you guys checked that out yet?
I know about it, but I haven't. Okay. The summer got so out of control. I haven't looked at it yet.
So I will tell you this. I recorded them because they're on Vice Network, and I wasn't sure if they were anywhere streaming. It's the ones that have a lot with Marshall Lucas in it, things like that. It's been very enjoyable. I'm a believer of, you can never get enough of the backstory, right? You can never get enough of the little things that happen and the true little stories behind the scenes. I've really enjoyed it. We made it. I've gone through, there were 4, 2 on A New Hope, 1 on Empire, 1 on Jedi. And now next week it's starting into the prequels, and they're going and walking you behind the scenes on that. So if you haven't watched that, I would definitely give it a thumbs up. Go check it out. Icons Unearthed. And it's really good behind the scenes stuff, little tidbits here or there, and it's on the Vice Network. And one thing that I'm going to start next is Light and Magic on
So
Disney
good.
Plus. Have you? Okay, you've started
Amazing.
watching it.
No,
Yeah.
isn't it great? No, it's so good. It kept me on the treadmill for like an extra 30 minutes the other day because I didn't want to stop. It is so good.
Well, that is good to hear. So that means right there, you guys, when you finish that, can go watch the Icons Unearthed on Vice. I can finish this and go hop on the Light and Magic. I think all that stuff, that's one of the things that, as we were kids, they came out with that show, that was on network TV of Star Wars. It was being made. It was hosted by like R2D2 and C3PO. And then later on, I think, was it Howie Long did one around Return of the Jedi, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it was, just thinking back that those kind of things. And then the prequels where they added all those documentary style things into the making and the discs and everything when you bought them. I think that's another thing that takes Star Wars to another level is getting that where you feel like you see it get made. You get really immersed in it. So I'm really happy with these. I think it's great that we have these things to fall back on now. So I'll let you guys.
Alfie, I don't know how you feel about it, but I just especially the first episode of that Light Magic when they did such a great job of intercutting like the footage and the photos of all those guys from the 70s working on this stuff literally in their garage. It reminded me of, Steve Jobs and those guys in their garages in Silicon Valley, but going from them to, and then they cut to them sitting there and and obviously they're older, but they still get so excited telling those stories. That's my favorite part.
Yeah, I loved it. Just from beginning to end. I watched through the credits, just artwork that they show in the credits. I couldn't stop watching.
After I've watched this and you see, the one on Vice and you guys are watching the one on Disney so far. I kind of feel like Star Wars, even away from the screen, is a great story for people to really look into because nobody wanted to make it. There was no chance in heck it was going to work. I mean, even to the last minute, the whole thing wasn't going to work. And to see that all come together, I think it's a good story for people who right now in today's society where it's like, oh, the world's against me. I can't make this happen. You look at that and you go, you know what? I can make something happen. I mean, look what the task they were up against, and they still made all this happen, all this magic happen to where we're going to Galaxy's Edge today, all from those struggles they did way back when. I don't know. Maybe I'm just looking at it.
Not only that, but I think it may be like the 4th or 5th episode, they go into all the other movies that they worked on, to stay busy, to prepare for the next, Star Wars coming out. So just, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, E.T.
Yeah.
Goonies, Poltergeist. And you're just thinking, all of these great movies, these iconic movies of when we were kids were, kind of seen as a filler to keep them employed until they could work on the next Star Wars movie.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to your point earlier, what I remember is, and this is where I laugh, but yet I'm still irritated with the people today that said there's too much. We got too many shows and whatever, because we all grew up in the era where you got a movie every 3 years and hopefully got a making of, a TV special, in between. And that's what I remember. I remember clear as a bell I would have been 7, 8 years old. And I remember clear as a bell seeing the footage of Ben Burt with a tape recorder and a hammer or metal stick, and he was wanging it on those on the power cords, the cables that hold big electrical towers up, and that's where the blaster sound came from. And here, and I hear that I still saw it in my head, and we saw it in the Light and Magic thing. So it's just, that's the part of it to me is just how much they love it. And to your point about I tell my daughter all the time, there's always someone in the room that says no.
Yep.
Always. It doesn't matter what it is, doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter how successful you've been. The story of Walt Disney, Universal, fired Walt Disney while he was in New York and not in Hollywood, and took Oswald the Rabbit away and said, "Oh, Mickey's stupid." And there's always someone that tells you no, right?
Yep.
And everyone told George Lucas no. We just recently watched the thing about Rocky, and same thing. I mean, Stallone got turned down by every studio in Hollywood, and now, there's a lot of bitter people that should probably realize they should have shot him now. But there's always someone that's going to tell you no. And, the fact that they didn't want to really do business with Lucas, Well, what did he do? He ended up, locking down all the merchandising, and that's worked out pretty well for him. Judging by just our backgrounds, that's worked out very well for him.
Yeah, I think, yeah, it's doing okay. I not to throw Joey into this conversation, but he and I have discussions about things like this all the time because, Ryan, he's in an industry that is very cutthroat and very tough as nails to get where you want to be. And one of our quotes we say back and forth to each other all the time is, "There's someone out there that hates the Beatles."
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
you can be the freaking Beatles, and there's somebody who goes, I don't really like the Beatles.
Who works in the music industry? That's the thing. Like seriously, that's what drives you crazy. I run into it all the time if you're pitching a book idea or whatever. But all my friends and all these businesses, same thing. It's like, it's not just that they're trying to keep you from doing what you want to do. They're the people that work in the business that you work in, and they're trying to keep you from doing what you want to do. There's always one person in every conference room that sits there going, "Nah, no, this is dumb." And I've always, like I always told my daughter, you have to figure out a way around that person because they're wrong. They just feel like it's their job to speak up. And there were a lot of people in the room that told George Lucas this is stupid. So good job, y'all. Good job, y'all. That was great.
Yeah.
Good move.
So speaking about how dumb he is and then how much we love all this stuff, we're going to talk about Andor. But before we hit the Andor, let's do the rewind button. Alfie and I have talked Kenobi to death. We felt like there were some really good parts. There were some parts that could have been done better, but overall we enjoyed the show. And I think most of the enjoyment came from God, we just wanted so bad to see Ewan McGregor play that role again. We were so excited Hayden Christensen was back involved again, which for being two guys, not prequel era guys, that was a big deal to think, my gosh, we're this excited about it. I think we all loved little Leia. There were some really good things in there. One of my favorite characters that, gosh dang it, I wish she wouldn't have got killed off was Tala. I thought she was a great character. I would have loved to seen that character built up. But with all of us and what we've talked about, you and I haven't talked about it, and I haven't heard your thoughts. Overall, what did you think about Kenobi, and what were some of your highlights, and what were some of the things you're like, oh, okay,
So I'll tell you. So I was when the finale dropped. I was in Omaha, Nebraska, covering the College World Series, and got home really, really late to the hotel. Had a game that lasted a really long time, and I checked my inbox, and there's the link for the finale. And I wanted to wait until I could watch on a big screen, but I couldn't wait. So I watched it, on my laptop in the bed and just cried. Just sat in the bed and just cried right by myself. I mean, because I watched the episode twice, and then and so the sports. There's guys in Omaha. You mentioned the Big Ten.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of my Big Ten friends that live in Omaha. Sports talk guys are super, super hardcore, and so getting to sit with them in the press box at Charles Schwab Field before the national championship game and talk super, super in depth like I get to with you guys about the finale. But I say this about Kenobi, and I've always said this about the prequels, and I've said it about the sequels, which is I wish people could have sat with me and watched the sequels with my when Force Awakens dropped, my daughter would have been 12, and to experience that with her. Or I always tell the story about, my wife and I went and saw Phantom Menace Thursday night, midnight, the whole thing. Everybody's got costumes on, all that. And, everybody's adults and the reaction they had to Jar Jar. I went back and saw it again Sunday afternoon, 36 hours later, 24 hours later, and the theater was full of kids. And they thought Jar Jar was the greatest. I remember my daughter looking at me as a little girl and saying, I cannot believe that Hayden Christensen didn't get nominated for an Oscar. And I want to tell her, man, this is not what people were saying, when these movies dropped. But the point is I wish that people could experience it. I'm glad I got to experience all these through different eyes, and sitting with my daughter and watching the Kenobi series, because she was a prequel girl. And so the reaction on her face, the first, when we see Anakin and Obi-Wan in the training series, and that I thought that episode was brilliant, going back and forth and kind of setting up what was about to happen. But then, having already watched it 2 or 3 times, but then knowing it was coming and watching her and knowing how much she loved Anakin, the scene with the helmet and you didn't kill me, you didn't kill Anakin. But my daughter couldn't hardly take it, and I couldn't hardly take it, watching it with her. And so, no, I loved it. I mean, there's certainly, we could certainly nitpick about a couple things here and there, but even the things, what's interesting now with the series versus what we all experience with the movies is you sit down, you watch the 2-hour movie. That's what you got. You got it for 3 years, and the story goes from A to Z, and that's what we got. Everybody's complete and total overreaction to the episode 1 of all of these series is hilarious to me. This is the worst character I've ever seen in my life. Well, maybe we should give it 6 episodes and see what the character's arc is, and then when it was all movies, that arc happens in front of us. So that part of it was very interesting to me, was watching people react to what happened in the first 40-minute episode when you knew that we still had hours left in the series. But yeah, no, I have no major complaints at all.
I think for me, one of the biggest things about it that had me nervous going in was being a guy of the original trilogy. Gosh, we had Darth Vader and Obi-Wan fight in A New Hope. Is this going to disrupt it? And honestly, the conversations they had, the back and forth they had, I think they did an excellent job of making the depth of that much better. I really did. And then you tie in that, Ahsoka cuts one part of his mask off in Rebels.
Yep.
Obi-Wan cuts one part of his mask off in this, and then Luke takes his mask off in Return of the Jedi. I thought that the poetry, the symmetry, everything like that was great in that part of the show. 100%.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. If they miss something, it's going to be an honest mistake, because there's so much effort, clearly, I think, that you can tell is being put into making sure everything's going to, run as seamless as they can. And everybody wants to make a Marvel comparison. I'm a huge Marvel guy, but with Marvel, they started here and they're going to here, and they can do whatever they want. They just need to make sure retroactively they match it up. Now we have this incomplete jigsaw puzzle with all of this and happening in all these different eras, and the fact that they're managing to put it all together. I mean, all the way down to Leia warning Rey in Rise of Skywalker, everyone's favorite film, but Leia warning Rey, never underestimate a droid. Well, now, here's a little girl whose best friend, is her droid. And so just all of those things, I just think are, those threads to me, I'm impressed.
No, I agree. Before I hop in Alfie and let him give any follow-up, DDoc, welcome. I'm guessing you got your kitchen to the point where you felt like you could break away?
Nope, not at all.
You did anyway, but you did anyway. We appreciate it.
I gotta get the range hood up, and I'm gonna get it up tonight. Luckily, my kids sleep well, but I you know what? I've missed the last, I think, 2 podcasts, and it's like I feel like something's missing in my life. And I told my wife, I was like, listen, I'm gonna get this done. We have my daughter's birthday party. I got like 25 people coming over and like a 3/4 done kitchen, but I just need a little Star Wars escape. So that's why I'm hopping on late with you guys.
Well, Ryan, I will tell you, if you're not following DDoc on TikTok or any of the social media platforms, he is putting on YouTube and on TikTok his kitchen read, whatever, everything he's doing on it, he's posting on there. My wife is like, can you tell DDoc to put more on there? I want to follow along with this. And I'm like, what do you mean? You don't even follow the stuff I do, and you want to follow DDoc redoing his kitchen? Come on.
I'm not sure about blood pressure. I'm on blood pressure medication. I'm not sure if watching a kitchen remodel at this point, knowing that I need to remodel mine, I don't know that my doctor will let me do that, but I will absolutely try.
I get my brother in trouble because he has this cabinet that he needs to do above his fridge for about a year now. So his newly he's newly married, and his now wife is saying, Dave is remodeling an entire kitchen, and I just need you to put one cabinet above.
Yeah. What the hell?
So.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He texted me one day and was like, "Can you please stop recording all the work you do on your house? Because it makes me look really bad." I just like doing it though. So it's like a hobby.
That's like all these NASCAR guys I know, they're all metal fabricators. And so in the wintertime, you know, they want to build a new cabinet or whatever, they just build it. You know, they just get a big pile of metal and make it. And my wife's like, you can't do that. No, I cannot.
But I could hire one of them.
I can't afford those guys. Yeah.
Well, DDoc is our handyman. He's our, what was that? Bob the Builder from my daughter used to watch growing up right there. So yeah, DDoc, we touched base a little bit already on Galaxy's Edge. We touched base a little bit on, we just went over Kenobi to just follow up on that. I'm going to throw out there real quick. This is a side one before we start into the Andor trailer, because I know we all want to talk about that, but Disney/Lucasfilm just dropped 3 new trademarks: the Great Circle, the Galactic Circle, and the Circle of Resistance. And I wouldn't bring it up, but the way they did these trademarks was the same way they dropped Rebels and The Mandalorian, the kind of trademarks they got on them. And the last 2 Marvel Avenger movies, this is the same way they did a drop of the trademarks of that. So, guys, I mean, we've been sitting here. I mean, I've been hoping and praying we get movies again. Is there any chance that that's 3 movies in a trilogy there, or am I just hoping against hope that that's what they're for? Any thoughts?
I think an intern came up with some catchy names and they just wanted to keep hold of them before somebody else did.
Yeah. And for the record, I have no inside information. Like
I know.
I have no tips on this, but I love the fact though, this has become, the trademark thing has become the Star Wars and Marvel version of, you know, what we started to do with the tailplane numbers on private aircraft when we thought a coach might be flying to a college to interview for a football or basketball job. Well, they're like, oh no, a plane with this tail number just took off, you know, from Columbus, Ohio, and landed in Tuscaloosa. You know, clearly that means Urban Meyer's about to take the Alabama job. But I'm just saying, but I love the fact though that yes, it can be a pain in the butt for the people who are making the films and TV shows, but you can't doubt the passion behind it.
I don't usually do that, but when I looked, I was like,
oh, it's awesome.
This article, and then they were like, oh, by the way, and I was like, wow, okay, maybe this does mean something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah,
but
I love it.
My mind went to movies when I saw it, just because of the way it was worded. I was like, these sound like they could be movies. I mean, maybe it's some kind of like box set they might release in the future, DVD box set, and that's might be like the trilogy lineups. I forget the names of them, but I don't know. It kind of, who knows? I want a movie, so I'm hoping for it.
I can't wait to go back. I'm going to see Bullet Train this weekend. I saw Thor: Love and Thunder a week ago or a week and a half ago. I love going to the movies, but I need a Star Wars movie. If we're going to be having Star Wars on Disney Plus, which is great, I'd really like to have a Star Wars movie. So,
well, hey, quick shout out to everybody who's looking at this. If y'all had gone and seen this, we'd have movies right now, but that's a whole other conversation, I suppose.
For those of you not on YouTube, he is wearing a Solo shirt, and I agree. That should have been marketed better, and it should have been people with their butts in the seat watching it. It was a fun movie, and
a fun movie.
And we could have right now Mr. Glover and Alden Ehrenreich and those guys. Emilia Clarke. Awesome. We could be having a couple of those, but that's another story for another time. So
yeah. So I'll tell you a story real quick. So I was right that summer when Solo came out. I love Solo. I love it. And when the movie came out and it had become this internet thing, like don't go see it, and we're going to teach them a lesson, whatever else. And I'm sitting at SEC Media Days, Football Media Days down in Hoover, Alabama, and I was doing Radio Row. And for folks that don't know, you know, just like they do it at Comic-Con or anywhere else, there's one long row of radio stations. It's just a bunch of people sitting at tables, and they got their setups and headsets and the whole thing. And the PR people at ESPN will come to me and say, hey, we need you to do these radio stations at these times. Great. And I don't even remember where it was now. It was in the Southeast. And I sat down, and the guy sitting across from me, he looked just like the guy from the comic book store in The Simpsons. And he had on a Millennium Falcon sweatshirt. And I don't have it on right now. I normally I've got a couple Star Wars rings I wear. And I sat down, and hey, welcome back to, Spanky and the sports crew or whatever, and, whatever, Mississippi. And he goes, now joining us is Ryan McGee from ESPN. And I go, hey, before we get started, I go, you got your Falcon sweatshirt on. I go, what'd you think of Solo? I'm not going to go see that. And so I go, tell me why you're not going to see it. And so next thing you know, he and I end up, he said, well, I'm not going to go see it because of Rose and this and that. And this, I go, all right. I said, let me tell you about this. And it was like the scene in Old School where Will Ferrell blacks out during the debate.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what I said, but I talked nonstop. And then at the very end, they're like, well, we got to go to break. Thanks to Ryan McGee from ESPN for joining us. Never talked about football or anything else. So I just was like, dude, you dummies, if you don't go see it, then don't complain to me if you don't get any movies. And but anyway, that's my solo yelling at the nerd on the radio story.
No, I love it. I absolutely love it. And you're right. More people we should, as Alfie and I now call it, scorched earth, right? We should go scorched earth on people and just lay into them and say, it's your fault. I mean,
it's your fault. Right.
I mean,
right there in your backyard.
Yep.
The Indianapolis Motor Speedway. All I heard this past weekend was, I can't believe NASCAR's running on the road course. I go, no one went to the Brickyard 400 anymore. They had to do something. A ticket is a vote. A ticket is a vote if it's to promote a sporting event or a team or a race. Don't get mad if your team packs up and leaves town if you hadn't gone to a game in 5 years. And so, yeah, if you don't go, a ticket is a vote. If you don't go to the movies, then that tells them that they should try something else. So, dummies, when the movies come out, go see the movies.
I agree. Go ahead, DDoc.
And that's why I'm like the biggest movie theater advocate, because in my opinion, I say that you can never trade that experience for it. I mean, I don't know if it's the same for you guys, but everybody I know who saw the new Batman movie in theaters liked it, and everybody who watched it at home did not like it. And it's because you have that opportunity. I think I might have even said this on a podcast before, but you have that opportunity to get up and go grab a snack and get distracted or whatever, where when you're in the theater, you're taking in that experience. You got the sound, you got the screen and everything. And I mean, I hope so badly that because I know that Peaky Blinders is doing it. I hope so badly that Mandalorian finishes their show in theaters, because that's what Peaky Blinders is doing. I've been like begging for shows to do this for so long, because you have so many people invested through multiple episodes, sometimes 60 episodes. Everybody in that theater is going to have so much anticipation to see that finale together. I think that's a great format or formula to do things.
If I would have been given the chance, I did not watch the Clone Wars when they originally came out, because I was too busy running my life, and I thought I didn't have time for animated shows while I was trying to make money, raise a family. And then, of course, I got into it, and I went through it, and have watched it multiple times. But DDoc, I think you and I have talked about it before. Those last 4 issue or episodes of the Siege of Mandalore, if you would have done everything they did and then put that as one movie at a theater, think of all the Clone Wars and prequels fans who would have gone to the theater and watched those 4 together. Now, I know it happened during COVID, so I think that screwed it up, but that would have been a perfect one, in my opinion, to finish at a theater.
So, well, that's what they're selling now. The reason Top Gun Maverick has done what it's done is because, and it's awesome. In fact, I think I had just seen it the night before I saw you, Joe, at the 500. I've seen it over at the Indiana Museum on that massive IMAX.
Oh, theater. Yeah, the IMAX.
But that's what you're selling, is you're selling the experience. So, I think there's a world where you could do both. I mean, if they had come to me right after I had watched the Kenobi finale, if someone had come to me and said, oh, by the way, next week you can watch that on the big screen, and you can watch all the episodes edited together as a film, I would have paid money to do that gladly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm with you guys. Everybody always said, well, what is it it's going to take to make you feel normal once the pandemic calms down? And what I kept saying was going to the movies. Once I go to the movies, I will feel like everything is, And my family, we're movie people. And so when we finally, I think the first film we saw in the theater might have been Black Widow. But just going to the theater and sitting in the theater, it was still a little different. Everything's a little different, but it was just, that was the first time I thought, okay, you know what? Now I feel like it might be getting back to, to normal.
You got it. Yeah, I agree. Movie theater, there's just something about it. So, you know what? We push it back, but I know Alfie has been doing tons of research on the Andor preview, and honestly, I thought it was one of the best previews and trailers that I've seen in a long time. I felt like I was getting ready to go to a movie theater to watch this. That's how cinematic it looked to me. Alfie, jump in. Give us some of your first initial thoughts and some things we might have missed with the Andor trailer.
Yeah, I agree with you. Seeing it, the scale and the scope of this, just from 2.5 minutes, it looks like a movie. It really just looks like Star Wars. Every little bit looks like Star Wars. And man, to see like the Imperial Senate and all the Imperial emblems everywhere, how much stuff has changed. I'm excited for this one. It was a series I thought I wouldn't be as much, but yeah, this one looks really good.
And well, it's hidden right in the meaty part, as DDoc has mentioned before, and Nick Shesky has mentioned before, right in that meaty part. Everybody wants to know from episode 3 to episode 4, all the good stuff that happened in between there. And it feels like in 2 seasons, which I think they're each season is supposed to be like 12 episodes.
12 episodes.
And I, it surprised me. I'm sure it surprised you guys too. September 21st now, but they're going to do 3 episodes at one time. And I think because of the Lord of the Rings stuff and She-Hulk and different things going on, I think they said, let's plan this out a little bit better to where they get this all on them, right? So I was a little bummed because August 31st, I was ready to go to watch this, but I can wait back till September 21st to watch 3 episodes all at once. Is there anything, DDoc or Ryan, that stood out to you in this preview that you're like, man, this got my juices flowing?
I honestly just think it's going to pretty much do the same thing that Rogue One did to me, which was a sneaky, incredible movie. And like, I remember going to theaters just like, oh, this is an individual Star Wars movie, like Rogue One. Let's see what happens. And I still remember sitting in theaters wondering if they were going to do the scroll. And it just did, bam, It just shot right over. And I'm just like, ooh, this is different. And then you're leaving the theater after the Darth Vader scene. Like, I need to go see this movie tomorrow again. Like, I remember you couldn't find it on YouTube, the Darth Vader hallway scene. I remember telling my brother, I'm like, I need to find that hallway scene. And it was like not there. So I think Andor is just going to be a very well planned out, awesome landscape. This is going to be how the rebellion started, how it got dirty, how it, could be tragic at times, probably. I think there's going to be some tough points in this show, honestly, because, for that many seasons and for that many episodes, you're going to grow on some characters. And, I don't know. I'm very excited for it. That's what I'll say.
Too. Brian, how about you?
I've always been fascinated with Mon Mothma. Always. Like Return of the Jedi was that for me. I mean, I was 13. I mean, that was the one that was over. I remember looking at my brother and going, and I'm a kid. I didn't use cuss words because I was a good Sunday school going kid. But I remember looking at my brother and I went, damn it! Like what just happened? Like it was a crazy, but Mon Mothma always fascinated me. But it's one of these characters that you got 9 seconds of, never going to see her again, right? And but what Genevieve O'Reilly did, very briefly in Rogue One was put these layers to this character. And I always loved the story that she always told about her going to see, and I'm blanking on it, as Caroline's her first name, but the actress who played Mon Mothma in the original, going to see her, highly decorated, like Caroline Blackstone, highly decorated, like Royal Shakespearean theater actress. And Genevieve O'Reilly going to see her, like at her estate, and them talking about the character, and then the original actress going, I'm so flattered you think that it's this deep. I was in the movie for like 45 seconds. And so, but just but that whole kind of spy thing that's going on, and that brilliant exchange that we saw in the trailer, because everything, because I was right, it was just looked so massive. But my favorite part was that little exchange, about, then they won't know what I'm really up to. He's like, "What are you really up to?" And it's just, but that part of it fascinates me, because it kind of goes back to Obi-Wan. We all sat down to watch Obi-Wan, right? And we know that Anakin's coming, and Kid Leia, blew our socks off, and honestly, the whole Organa family did. And so I'm really, really anxious, curious to see this. They're going to start out way out here, right? I mean, Andor's going to be over here, and she's going to be over here, and I'm curious to see where, at what point, they intersect, because clearly they knew each other. Right. When we get to Rogue One. So anyhow, she just has always been a fascinating character to me, and and the poor Bothans. Maybe we'll get somebody to explain to me that whole deal at some point.
You're speaking about that. I'll go back to the beginning with that Vice documentary that I was watching. And the original lady was in it, and you're right, I blanked her name, but she sat there and she goes, I kept messing up the line. She said, Harrison Ford came over to me and sat down next to me and said, maybe you should play it like this. Yeah. And she said, and I just said, okay. And that's where she did that pause and took her time with it. And think about how that one segment right there really sits with people. I mean, it's really, it hits home. So I'm excited as well. I think it's great. I mean, they're doing a great job of bringing characters and layering them in that maybe were, again, in a movie for 45 seconds or in a story for that amount of time. One of those is Forrest Whitaker as Saw Gerrera. We're going to see Saw Gerrera now in the third age level that we're going to see him in, from Rogue One in the beginning to Rogue One at the, in the middle, to this, all at different ages and all with different hair and different body parts being lost and everything else. But I'm pumped about this. I think Saw Gerrera is a great character, and I loved him in Clone Wars way back when. And so this is, to me, this is just awesome that they're wrapping those kind of characters into this and making it very meaty. So, Alfie, I asked you online or in our text chain, the blonde Imperial lady who looks like she's going to kick butt and take names. Can you give us more detail on who she is or her role or whatever?
My daughter took my phone, so I lost my notes.
That's okay.
But yeah, she looks like maybe part of the ISB, but she's wearing a gray uniform though, right?
No, she's wearing white, which is like Krennic wears.
Right.
Is Krennic going to be in this? I could have sworn there was some filming of Krennic that people talked about. I
did a search for that today, and I could not find anything more current than like 2020.
Okay.
Any mention of Krennic being in this series? Lots of rumors when this first started, but I haven't seen anything solid. It seems like it would be a good fit.
I mean, maybe the white uniform that people were seeing was hers. Maybe that was the one that was standing. Oh, look, we've got a Lego Krennic coming on.
Wow.
Yeah, there's Krennic's little.
I thought he was a great character. I'd like to see more of him.
I did too.
Oh yeah. But you feel but the beauty is we got more than 6 episodes, right? We got you guys said 2 seasons of what, 13 episodes?
12. Yeah.
So now there's no way he's not going to show up, even if it's at the very end when they wrap this thing up. There's no way.
The first season will be a year over 12 episodes, a year's worth of time, and then the second season will be 4 years, 3 episodes per year.
Wow. Okay. That's really putting a timeline together, because isn't the first season like 5 years ahead of Rogue One, and then the next
yes
season is 3 of 4 years, 3 years, 2 years out from Rogue One. Wow.
I have to show the Krennic shuttle. I'm sorry, I just took my
headphones
off for a second, but
you're fine.
He holds my favorite Lego set that I have built. This ship is like, this thing is dusty too from when I moved, but look at the wingspan on this thing.
Yeah.
Like that's ship. Gorgeous. I remember when you first saw this ship coming in, I mean, I saw they made a Lego of this, and I'm just like, I need to have that. And it's like, he's such a memorable character. And that's where it comes down with this show, is that Rogue One made such memorable characters in such a short amount of time. And that's what I think is exciting to expand off of them. That's where my excitement level is with it.
Well,
And
and
about,
like
by the
any
way,
of these, any of this,
Go ahead, Alfie.
you know, with like Saw Gerrera's partisans, just a few seconds the screen time in Rogue One.
Mhm.
But you walk through that base and you see all these aliens and mercenary, you know, kind of scruffy looking guys. You know, they're, you know, seen some action. You know, there has to be more to their story. And if you watch in this trailer, quite a few of them show up in the trailer.
Yep.
So
the guys from Jeddah, yeah.
Hopefully we'll get to see a little bit more of their backstory, especially the white, Yeti looking one. I always thought he was a really cool character.
He's on the shelf over there. He's with the U-wing over there.
He was supposed to have a big role in Rogue One, and it all got cut out.
I don't see. You guys know more than me on this. That's why I host, and I let you guys be the brains of the
If you watch some of the behind-the-scenes stuff, he was originally on Scarif.
Huh. Okay.
And his partisans were on Scarif.
Ryan, you were going to say something when you and Alfie were.
No, I was just going to say, how about Stellan Skarsgård being like nerd king of the world now? He was just in Dune, which, you know, love or hate Dune, he was in it, and obviously, you know, such a major role in the Marvel films,
yes,
with the Infinity films, and now this, and it's like, and clearly we've got some Corellian ships rolling into this thing, which I'm all about, and so yeah, it was. But I love the fact that he's had this amazing career anyway. You know, when I was growing up, I only ever knew him as, you know, the jerky math professor from Good Will Hunting, right? But now he is literally, I mean, he's in everything. So it's and clearly plays a super critical role. And so yeah, it's I'm really maybe my favorite shot in the preview was, you know, him in the cockpit taking care of business, and I was like, all right, okay, this is there's our dude right there.
Was that ship, Alfie? You saw more than me. It looked like a almost Millennium Falcon, almost Outrider of Dash Rendar. It was kind of a mixture of those ships built into one.
Yeah, it's got some kind of funky wings to it too. There's a ship that it's not quite is it the Phantom, the little ship that comes out of the Ghost?
Yes, there was the Phantom. They also had a different name for the second one. I remember that. There was two. This one got destroyed. Anyway.
Definitely Corellian, because I kind of saw all those little things in the design of that ship. But I love that gun popping up, because that's like the little holdout blaster, you know, on the Falcon. And it just adds to his character. He's got this sleek looking ship. He's an important person, but all of a sudden some guns pop out. Yeah, there's more to his story.
Yeah, Ryan. So as you can tell, our love for these characters and their ships, and you can see them behind us and all these things here. We're the people who love everything about Star Wars, but then when we start talking about the ships and the characters, you start going, can we have them on the shelves? Can we go buy them?
Yeah.
Please?
Oh yeah. No, I sensed that. Yeah. No, I said, well, back here, I mean, if you're watching on video, this is.
Oh, he's got the Falcon right there.
My latest purchase was this is a backpack.
Nice. Was that at Galaxy's Edge or somewhere else?
This was all right. Awesome. So yeah, it's a backpack. You actually wear it down like that. I have a couple of Captain America Shield backpacks. As soon as I saw this, my daughter was like, "You're buying that?" Of course I am. But and then that led to me driving home from Disney World and talking for at least 2 hours about Corellian ships and how you can tell, you know, the distinctive markings, and it put my family completely to sleep. But it was, you know, I enjoyed it. But yeah,
I'm going to throw this out there. So Ryan, you're a Star Wars guy. I'm a Star Wars guy. You like Marvel. I like Marvel. But the Captain America shields, are you a Captain America guy? Is Cap your Marvel guy, or do you have?
Yeah, in fact, I almost always have a Captain America ring on. I've got a Captain America wallet. No, Cap was my guy. My office is around the corner over here. I literally have 3 different shields hanging in the office. And so no, I'll tell you guys a story. So I grew up, I'm a kid of the 80s, right?
Yep.
I read Avengers. I read Cap, and then obviously Star Wars. And we were in the Disney store several years ago. My daughter was younger, and I was standing, just staring at this one wall, this massive Disney store like in Myrtle Beach, and half the wall was Captain America, and half the wall was Darth Vader. And I'm just standing there, and it's everything you could possibly think of. And my wife walked over and she put her arm around me. She goes, "I know it's not fair." I go, "It's not fair." I go, why didn't I? Where were these things when I was 9? Yeah. But it was but no, I'm a Cap guy.
Me too. That's Cap is, you know, I've got a Captain America collection of figures and different collectibles over here, and I think it's DDoc put it on TikTok and everything else, but I got the Captain America. One of my favorite things is the Captain America like encyclopedia biography, and then the Marvel one, which of course author Adam Bray signed it, put the Captain America logo in there with the signature. Oh, you've got the old school and
that is so
that's a backpack. And then this is just buddy of mine that does like stagecraft made that for me. So
man.
That's what I wear around.
DDoc, come, you're gonna I mean, I know I ask you to make a lot of things, but Captain America Shield. I mean, yeah.
Well, I made a few years ago. I did a whole. My wife and I went to this costume party thing over on the cool side of Charlotte where everyone's like half our age. And I had the whole World War II cap. I had this, I've got a helmet, and I went into a secondhand store and bought a leather jacket and cut it up. And like, so it was the damaged jacket, you know, after he does the rescue in the film, in the first Avenger. And so I'm full World War II cap. I made like the doughboy pants and the boots and the whole thing. And my wife, I have a very particular type when it comes to the women that I like. I was a big Tiffany Amber Thiessen fan as a kid.
Oh yeah.
You know, I love Peggy Carter, and my wife looks exactly like she's somewhere in between the two of them. And so my wife dressed up like Peggy Carter, and we go to this party. None of these millennials, they were like, "So what are you? You're like some old like World War II guy?" I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Is she Carmen Sandiego?" I'm like, "Yeah, okay."
Oh no.
So that's
you just wanted to punch him.
Yeah, but we wore the same outfits to we have the biggest independent comic book show in the United States is in Charlotte every year, the Heroes Convention. And we took my wife and I wore those same costumes to the Heroes Convention a few weeks later, and everybody got it. So we just had to get around our people. But yeah,
you're gonna have to send us the info on the Heroes Convention because you know, I think we could talk our significant others to go to Charlotte. I think that sounds like a good road trip.
It's almost always doable. Father's Day weekend. Yeah, it's a fantastic comic book store. We have 2 stores in Charlotte that are our go-to. Heroes aren't hard to find, which is a straight-up comic book store. And then my daughter and I have always gone since she was 3 years old. I have taken her to this awesome little dive place that specializes in Star Wars, and it's called the Rebel Base. And so if you guys ever come to Charlotte, we'll go down to the Rebel Base, and Dave Doc will buy probably everything they have, and then we'll go up to and then their place actually looks an awful lot like your backdrop right there, and then we'll and then we'll go to the Heroes Convention, and you guys can spend all the money you want here in the great city of Charlotte.
That sounds like an absolute plan to me. We're trying to make that happen more and more. It's you know, we've had the funny thing is I've met you face to face. We shook hands, took pictures, we hung out. DDoc and I, doing this now for like a year, have never met.
Yep.
We've never been in the same room as DDoc.
We've never physically seen each other. I might be a simulation for all you know. Still,
we don't know
if I'm even real.
Yeah. You're like you're talking about Rogue One. You're Leia at the end of Rogue One. We don't. I can't tell. Are you real? I don't know.
Yeah.
You're Jar Jar.
We will find out at some point in time. Maybe in Charlotte. Maybe in Nashville next year. We don't know.
Yes, I will not. I think we're done at 3 kids. So
okay.
I know she came a week and a half after the ICCC convention, but at the time I couldn't risk it. Hindsight being 2020, I could have went, but
hey, I understood completely.
Knowing my luck, she would have had the baby if I went. So
right,
you know.
So as you guys know, I think we can all agree we're looking forward to Andor. We're willing to wait for the 3-episode premiere. It looks great. I think we're all on the same page. I'll throw this out there. I just recently, I say read, but listened to Brotherhood. and then Shadows of the Sith, both. I'm a book guy. I know we got DDoc now doing the Darth Bane books. I will say this: both those books entertaining. One, the Brotherhood, was a lot of Anakin and Obi-Wan during during the Clone Wars. It was good. It was a good, entertaining book. Shadows of the Sith. It was I think 10 or 15 years after Jedi. 15 years after Jedi, I believe. And they definitely did some tie-ins to Ochi of Bastoon, Pisana, Rey, and her parents. Her parents were named in that book. So if you haven't checked those out yet, I will say definitely worth. They're not the Thrawn trilogy, they're not the Bane trilogy, but not many things are. But they were entertaining, and they had some really good characters in them. And I'm starting to see with Shadows of the Sith, they're definitely starting to piecemeal some things together to say, oh, that thing you don't know anything about in the sequels that we just kind of threw on you. Here, we're gonna give you some bits about it right here. And I think we've all talked about it. If that can happen over the next few years to where we can start having more understanding, I'm all for that. So, Ryan, are you a big book reader? Do you read any of the Star Wars novels? Or
I literally, I'm not exaggerating. What I will do, I have a stack of them on my desk. So what I will do is, at this time of year, I don't read anything that's not preseason football, college football. And so I have, usually if I'm reading it's for research, but during the year I collect books. And I bought Brotherhood hardback. I bought it not even a week ago. My daughter and I were at the bookstore and I bought it. And she's like, "Is that going on the stack?" I'm like, "It's going on the stack," because as soon as college football ends, the second weekend in January, between that and when I see you in Indy in May, I read like a crazy person. And so I kind of collect them during the year.
Okay.
And then read them during the off season. So yes, that is on the short list. But to your point about the books, though, I go all the way back to, again, in my office, I have an original first run paperback of the George Lucas Star Wars book, with the classic old Vader, painting on the front, all that stuff. But I remember in that book, learning about, Darth Vader's lava palace and, in the battle with the fight with Obi-Wan. And that's how I heard about that. So when those things come true and they happen in front of your eyes, you just can't. I read about that when I was 8. It's just the craziest. So that's why the books are awesome.
Agreed. Alfie and DDoc, you haven't hit either one of those yet, right?
No, not yet.
Okay. Well, they're entertaining. Couple side items just to hit out there. One, I was reading an article the other day. I get Google alerts for anything for Star Wars related. One of them was the Nashville Casket Sales Company. You can now get a Ghostbusters, a Frozen, a Batman, or a Star Wars casket. If you just love them that much, you want to take them into the afterlife with you, you need to go check that out. Go look up Nashville Casket Sales Company.
I'm in.
It's all over the place. The Star Wars one, the rails on the side where they carry you are lightsabers overlapping. So, and they're lit up. So like a blue and a red across. Very entertaining.
Look at DDoc. Hey, look at DDoc. He's already in. He's already like,
he's thinking he can build one.
I'm going to play it cool, but as soon as we're done, I'm gonna like get all these insurance deals at 2:00 in the morning and pay for your funeral now. He's gonna be like, "Hey, did you buy this now?"
Can they customize you frozen in carbonite? That's my question.
Oh man. Yeah.
That's it.
I mean, Disney is kind of Walt's kind of, it's like carbonite, but he's frozen like that, right?
Ted Williams, greatest hitter to ever live. Ted Williams' head is literally, for a fact, know that it's in a freezer in Arizona right now.
Wow. See, so DDoc, I say we push for that. Let's look into it. Another thing that came out that we're all, well, the three of us, DDoc, you're a little younger than us. We were all there for the end of the run of Return of the Jedi and the characters, and when Ewoks and droids were coming out and all that. Star Wars, they stopped making characters in 1985. That was the last year, but they actually had a 1986 line prepared that they were looking to do. And I follow, he's called That Junk Man. We've interacted. I met him at the ICCC in Nashville, but he posted it on YouTube. and you can go see the drawings and the characters that they were going to do with the 1986 line before they cut it off. I just thought it was great because I was like, they had the idea that we're going to expand and make other stories and make characters, and even Luke and Han in different outfits and all this stuff. So it was really cool to think about, Ryan, like you said. I mean, thinking about when you were back that age, and you're like, man, I'm sorry to see this go, but they were really thinking about keeping that going. So I thought it was really cool. So you definitely need to go check that out and look into it. So, Alfie, you'll probably want to buy those.
And then the casket. Yeah.
Oh, you throw that on me like I'm the only one that would. It would just be me.
That's right.
And me alone.
That's right.
Okay. So look, guys, I've kept you guys. It's gosh, we've been going for an hour and 10 minutes or something. Anything we haven't discussed that you want to hit on? Any thoughts that we need to hit before we shut this thing down tonight? Go ahead, Alfie.
I got one. Going back to Andor trailer, I didn't get to bring this up, but
go ahead.
It's driving me nuts, man. I have got to know why those people in the laboratories are not wearing shoes.
It's a good question.
If you watch,
yeah,
when they're running down the hallway, none of those people have shoes on, and there's got to be a reason for that.
Do you think it's I think we saw it in Kenobi. I mean, there were spice labs, right? And we know that like in a lot of drug organizations, they make you either go in naked or like in your underwear,
right?
Nothing. Do you think it could be something wrapped to that where they couldn't take anything out of those labs? I mean, were they workers?
Or if they're not productive, can they get like shocked or something from the floor? Or
okay.
I like this.
I like that. I hadn't thought of that. Yeah.
Because if you notice,
maybe it's just how they do things on their particular planet.
It looks like it's an Imperial facility, and they're all dressed the same, but they don't have shoes on, and they're all building stuff. So is this like, engineers and workers that they've rounded up that aren't, supporters of the Empire? And because if you watch the trailer, they're building K2S models.
Okay.
At their workstations. And then one guy has what looks like a pile of lightsabers next to him.
Really? Okay. Yeah, I remember you showed the hilt.
Yeah.
Of one of them.
And then it shows Cassian dressed as one in the same outfit, and he shoves something in, and the alarm goes off. He like shoves like I don't know what it's like, a piece of steel.
Shoes. It was a pair of shoes. It's like a pair of Crocs.
Yeah, a piece of steel into a panel, and the alarm starts going off, and then it shows them all running away.
I like your idea of the punishment thing, though, because if you look at it,
awesome.
Krennic had to punish the scientists in Rogue One,
right?
Because they were insubordinate or getting things sneaked out of the lab. So I kind of like that one better than my drug idea. It's bad that I went right to drugs on my topic.
Yeah.
Breaking Bad.
There you go, Breaking Bad. Alfie, anything else off the Andor trailer? I will throw this out there. I could care less if a guy is holding an AK-47 in that thing, because here's my thought. Again, whether you like guns or not, we're not a political show, but I can't think that every person in the Star Wars universe has laser pistols. Some of them are going to have projectile
slug throwers is what they were called in Legends.
There we go.
And Han Solo had some hidden on the Millennium Falcon. They were outlawed by the Empire.
So I would think if there's problems with it, I get it. We're trying to become more politically correct about guns. Okay. But I was like, you think about primitive people or people who haven't been in the hyperspace or whatever, they probably have more weapons like that. So I know I kept seeing that pop up, and I was like, why is this a big deal? Anyway, not to stir anything. Go ahead, DDoc.
Also, like, all the Star Wars guns are really based off of real guns too. So like they would just literally take a real gun and modify it to look like a Star Wars gun. So like, yeah, people really did make a big deal about that one still shot of that guy holding that. It's like, who knows? Maybe it is a blaster. Like, I mean, if you play Battlefront 2, you're always getting, you can switch your guns in that, and you look at them. It's like you can go online and see what actual guns they're based off of and what parts they added to them. I mean, it's the same as oh my God, Blade Runner. The gun that he used in that is a specific one. I watched the guy Adam Savage from Mythbusters. He has his own YouTube channel. I watched him build one. You have to buy all these certain parts and take apart a gun. It's not a real gun anymore, but you steal the parts from it. So,
okay.
Also, I have Alfie's little guy here too.
Oh, there you go.
Alfie was talking about.
And as Carrie Fisher used to say, everybody got a gun, and they handed me a hairdryer. Like she used to say all the time. So everybody else has got a big awesome gun, and she goes laser swords and everything else. And she goes, and they handed me. They hear Carrie. Here's your hairdryer.
Oh gosh. Okay. Well, again, didn't mean to make it. I just thought it was interesting. DDoc or Ryan, any closing thoughts before we shut down this episode?
I'll just say I'm excited for Andor, and I really can't wait for a new Star Wars show, and it's fresh, and of course, you have the internet, so I'm sure things will happen, but I'm just very excited for this. It just feels like it's going to be a very fresh show. And Rogue One I'm on the record for saying Rogue One is one of my favorite Star Wars movies of all time. It's up there for me. So I'm just excited to see this story expand.
Agreed. No, I agree with that 100%. And I long time ago got over the complaining on the internet, like versus the story I was telling earlier about the guy on Radio Row. I long ago in my mind converted all of that from taking it very personally, which I did for a long time, to just taking it all as one big giant joke, which is how I look at all of it now. So I'm going to enjoy it. And I'm also going to enjoy watching people get all wadded up the first time a girl does something, or, a line's delivered wrong or whatever. So yeah, that's one of my favorite parts now has become entertaining. It's entertaining watching the people not be entertained by the stuff that should not bother them.
I 100%. It's yeah, you just can't let things bother you. I mean,
no, and again,
you just gotta have fun.
Listen,
it's supposed to be.
We're all the generation. We used to get one damn movie every 3 years, and then after the third one, it was over. It was over. It was like there's a reason that we all watched the Christmas special. It's all we had. So anybody
I say it all the time. These people don't know what it was like to be excited to watch the Ewok specials.
Yeah, that was it. Or like the special effects shows we were talking about earlier. Greatest thing that ever happened was like when they were on the Muppets.
Oh,
that was the greatest thing that ever happened, because that's all we had, kids. So now that's I am all for drinking from the Star Wars fire hose on a weekly basis.
Agreed. And you know what? I look around this group right here, and we're all raising our kids to enjoy Star Wars. We're enjoying watching Star Wars with them. You told the story about your daughter. My story with Joey's the same. Joey's 6 years old watching Phantom Menace, and I was just sitting there going, he's having the best time. Alfie, with your son with Force Awakens,
yep,
he's having the best time. And so for us, it's like we're adults, and we got work and we got bills to pay and all that. And yeah, we might complain here or there, but we love it. And we're our kids are. And DDoc, he's got his little ones now. They went on Rise of Resistance and went to Galaxy's Edge, and they're like, oh, now we're way into this, right? So it's good. I mean, Star Wars is about family. It's about fun. It's just all these good things. So
it might not. Every episode of every show probably is not going to change your life. It's probably not. But the Star Wars experience should be a huge part of your life. So yeah. And that is the last thing that the guy who loves Solo was going to say, because it all comes back to me trying to tell everybody it's okay to have fun. And that's I'm going to go watch Solo as soon as we're done with this.
You got it. And the one thing that I'll promise you is our phones, our emails are always open for you during the football season, but we're not going to reach out and bother you during the football season unless something comes up where you say, hey, I want to talk about this. Door's always open. But I also know, like you just said, you don't even read books until the football season's over with. So I'm going to let you go do that thing, and I'll be enjoying all the stuff you do. And hopefully you and my son will cross paths at one of these events coming up. And, just go enjoy it. Football season's here. As a matter of fact, on the TV to my left right now, I'm watching Jacksonville, even in preseason, get beat 20-0 by the Raiders. And there's no reason I should be watching that, but it's football. So
yeah, but it's football because it's football and it's on television. So yeah, I appreciate it. I will see you guys this fall, and if you need me, I'll be the one on the SEC network wearing his Darth Vader and/or Captain America ring every Saturday.
I'm looking forward to seeing that. And when DDoc makes me my shield, we'll get a pic together wearing our cap shields or holding our cap shields. That's absolutely awesome. You know what? For everybody else, the listeners, followers, everybody, thank you so much to Alfie and DDoc, who are my rocks. They're here all the time. You know what? I built this thing. This thing is built off guys like you who put all your effort into it, all your time into it. Thank you. I can't thank you enough. For Ryan, for being our special guest tonight. Thank you so much. Episode 156 in the books. You know what? I ran through it all at the beginning. You know where to follow us. Rule the Galaxy everywhere. Might add an SW or a podcast after it, but just look for Rule the Galaxy. And until next week, may the Force be with you.